If you plan on traveling to Thailand, this video is for you. Because in today's video, I'm going to be sharing 20 things that I wish I knew before visiting Thailand. Meg and I have spent almost 3 months in this beautiful country, exploring from north all the way down to the southern tip. This country has so much to offer, but we want to help you plan your trip and not make the same mistakes we did. Number 20 on this list is our favorite thing that this country has to offer. So make sure you stick around and find out what we feel is one of the best kept secrets of Thailand. Let's get this video started. We are going to start off with number 1, which is answering probably one of the most basic questions, which is, when should I visit Thailand? And Thailand really has 2 seasons, the wet season and the dry season. But keep in mind, both seasons have their pros and cons when it comes to traveling. Obviously, the dry season, you're gonna have a little bit higher chance of nicer weather, but keep in mind, things are usually gonna be a little bit more busy and a little bit more expensive. Whereas the wet season, it might be a little bit more rainy, but you're definitely gonna find things to be a lot more affordable and a lot less crowded. Meg and I have personally traveled to Thailand in both seasons, and we've had great experiences in both. Even when it's raining, the beach is still beautiful though. If you're more of a budget traveler, I would highly recommend going during the wet season. If you want to guarantee or have a little bit higher chance of better weather, go during the dry season. But both have their positives. Number 2, itinerary. I think sometimes people often forget how big of a country Thailand is. And you probably shouldn't go in with the expectation that you're going to be able to see everything. In general, you can break Thailand up into 2 parts, the north and the south, with Bangkok being in the center. If I were to give my personal recommendation on how long you should spend in Thailand, it'd be 14 days. Because I feel that in that amount of time, you can not only see some of the north, but you can see some of the south. But what I would start by doing is figuring out what activities you like. Are you a city person? Are you a beaches person? Or are you a jungle person? Because the south is gonna offer something completely different from the north. And if you plan on staying, I would say less than 8 days, you're probably only gonna wanna pick either the north or the south to explore. One itinerary that I would really recommend is the one that Meg and I actually did, and we found it to be pretty successful, which was flying into Bangkok, being that it's a big international airport and you can usually find some affordable flights to that airport. Then making our way north to Chiang Mai, and actually we took the overnight train, which was kind of a fun experience. And then we flew down to Phuket and explored the southern part of Thailand and beat-bopped around from island to island, being that there's so many beautiful beaches and islands down in the southern part of Thailand. Alternatively, another great option would be to start in the south and just work your way north. So flying into Phuket and then working your way up to Bangkok and then finally finishing in Chiang Mai in the north. Both of those would be great options. Again, I would just prioritize based on your time and what activities you like to do. Number 3, SIM card. And there's quite a few different ways you can handle your phone while you're in Thailand, but in general, you're gonna wanna stay connected. And a SIM card is going to probably be your best bet. Meg and I, when we first went to Thailand, we used a SIM card. It was super convenient and quite affordable. You can buy them right at the airport, or we bought ours at a 7-Eleven. You can usually get enough data that you need for your week, 2-week, even month-long trip for only about $5 to $15 US. Again, very affordable and very easy. If you don't like messing around with your SIM card or a physical SIM card, actually on my last trip to Thailand, I used an eSIM, which was very convenient, and you can actually set it up before you travel there. Though it's a little bit more expensive, I think it makes up for it with convenience. I would definitely avoid paying for data with your carrier, being that sometimes they'll charge you like $10 or $15 a day, and you don't get much data. SIM cards in Thailand work really well, so I would highly recommend either an eSIM or a physical SIM card for your trip to Thailand. Number 4, WhatsApp. This is gonna be the main way you communicate in Thailand, whether it be calling a taxi driver or communicating with your hotel and Airbnb, or even just making a reservation at a restaurant. People in Thailand use WhatsApp for their main form of communication. If you don't know what WhatsApp is, it's probably because you're from the USA, being that we don't use it too much here in the States. But it is a widely used app. And the reason people use it is because you can send messages or make phone calls using Wi-Fi. And like I said, you're gonna wanna have this downloaded before you go to Thailand because this is how you're gonna communicate with everybody. Number 5, street food. And oh my gosh, Thailand street food is the best. And let me tell you, there's no reason to hesitate. When Meg and I first traveled to Thailand, this was honestly our first experience with street food in general. And I hesitated quite a bit. I was a little unsure about the quality of food that we were receiving with street food. And let me tell you, Thailand street food is great and you should try everything. For the most part, Thailand does a really good job cooking their food and you shouldn't have really any issues when it comes to street food. And to be honest with you, that's where you're gonna find some of the best food. Some of my personal favorites are the Thai sausage, or the papaya salad, or the coconut pancakes. They are to die for, and you are seriously missing out if you're not trying the street food. So no reason to hesitate. I will say if you're gonna try to avoid anything when it comes to food in Thailand, I would say any fresh vegetables or fruits without a peel. Not because the food itself is contaminated, but more so that the water that they wash the fresh veggies with can get you sick. So just make sure that your vegetables are either cooked or your fruits have a peel on them and you should be totally fine. But do not steer away from the Thai street food. It is amazing. And that leads us into number 6, which is water. How should you be handling your water consumption while you're in Thailand? And in general, I would always stick with bottled or filtered water. You're gonna wanna avoid tap water as the quality is very low and you're probably gonna get sick if you drink it. And keep in mind, that includes when you're brushing your teeth and showering. Oftentimes people get sick, not because they're drinking the tap water, but they're using the tap water to brush their teeth, or they're like leaving their mouth open in the shower and they don't even realize it. So be really conscious of that when you're traveling to Thailand. Another question I often get is the ice okay? And that's a great question and something that took quite a bit of testing from us to figure out. And let me tell you, I tested it out a bunch and we have personally never had any issues with the ice in Thailand, even at the night markets. Being that most of the time, the ice is getting shipped in and it's getting made with filtered water, if that makes sense. So you should be totally fine with having ice. I promise you, while I was in Thailand, I had like probably 100 smoothies, and I'm not joking, like multiple a day, and I never got sick. So again, exercise with caution, but in general, we found the ice to be totally fine in Thailand. Number 7, budget. And in general, you're gonna find Thailand to be a very affordable country. And quite honestly, that's what makes this country so amazing, is that no matter your budget, you can experience the best of what this country has to offer. When Meg and I first went to Thailand, we were on a tight budget, and we were able to have a great time with only spending about 35 to 40 US dollars per day. And I can safely say that if you spend anywhere from 80 to 100 US dollars a day, you're gonna have a unbelievable trip, meaning a nice accommodation, great excursions, unbelievable food. Thailand in general is a very affordable country. To give you some perspective, one example I want to share is we went to this restaurant called B Sam Cook in Chiang Mai. I would highly recommend it. It is a chef's table restaurant, meaning it was like 9 courses. Unbelievable amount of food, all for 45 US dollars a person. It was unreal. And if you were to get that here in the States, it probably would have cost you about 200 US dollars. So the fact that it was a fraction of the price and the quality was still there, again, is what makes Thailand so amazing. And that leads us to number 8, which is cash. And you're gonna need some cash while traveling in Thailand. And there's a few different ways you can go about getting cash in Thailand. The first one being ATMs. There are tons of ATMs all over Thailand. They're very easy to find and easy to use. Just keep in mind, each one has a transaction fee that is pretty hefty, usually about 220 baht or 6 US dollars. So if you plan to use ATMs, I would highly recommend limiting the amount of transactions or withdrawals you make from those ATMs, so that way you save a bit of money. If you don't feel comfortable using ATMs, I would recommend just ordering some Thai baht to your hometown bank before you travel. If you were to do this, I would recommend getting anywhere from 100 to 200 US dollars in equivalent Thai baht. That should last you a majority of your trip, being that you're only going to use cash for like street food or any souvenirs that you would like. Most established restaurants and markets in Thailand will take credit cards. So I would just recommend using your credit card whenever you can and just fill the rest in with cash. Number 9, and this is in a similar category to what we've been talking about, and that is tipping. Believe it or not, tipping is not expected in Thailand. And this includes your waiter at a restaurant or even a taxi driver. With that being said though, Meg and I have tipped before while we've been in Thailand, and we feel like certain situations maybe deserve a tip. For example, if you have an exceptional experience with a tour guide and you feel like a tip is necessary, feel free. But in general, you should never feel expected to give a tip in Thailand. Number 10, transportation. And luckily, Thailand has a ton of great ways to get around and see the country. Whether it's by train, plane, minibus, or ferry, there'll be an option for you to get to where you need to go. There's going to be one app that you're going to want to download though, which is Grab. And Grab is essentially the equivalent to what we have here in the States, which is Uber, and you can fetch really affordable taxis. If you're looking for a little added adventure though, I would highly recommend trying out a motorbike taxi. It's a really, really fun experience. Another thing that Meg and I also like to do is hire a private driver. I know that sounds really expensive, but in Thailand, it can actually end up saving you a bit of money, especially if you need to get to a specific place at a specific time. They're also really easy to hire. You can either just go to your hotel concierge or talk to your Airbnb host, or even you can do it right on the Grab app to hire a driver for the day or even just for a couple hours. Number 11, I hate to say this, but it is 100% true, and that is Tuk Tuks are a ripoff. They just are. And you're gonna get a taxi for a way better rate, and you can try to negotiate a good price with a tuk tuk driver, but in general, you're gonna end up paying a lot more than just your standard taxi. With that being said though, I would highly recommend trying your hand at a tuk tuk ride as well as a little bit of that negotiation, because it is a fantastic tourist experience, but I wouldn't recommend taking a tuk tuk every single place you go, as it's gonna cost you a lot of extra money. Number 12, bargaining is a part of the culture, and quite honestly is a great way to interact with the locals. Being here from the United States, this is something we're not really used to, and remember that bargaining is just a conversation. It shouldn't be aggressive or confrontational in any way, shape, or form. Also keep in mind that you don't bargain for everything. For example, you don't bargain for food. But a good place to bargain would be maybe at a night market where you see a souvenir that you really like, but there's no price tag. Usually that's a sign that you can negotiate that price down a little bit. If I were to give you any piece of advice, I would recommend not starting by asking what the price is. Get to know the seller a little bit. They'll usually warm up to you and give you a better price. Give it a try. Number 13, English will do. For the most part, everyone in Thailand speaks a bit of English, so you should have no problems speaking English when you're traveling throughout Thailand. Now, you might have some troubles understanding from time to time, but we have found that most people know English. Though, I would highly recommend learning a few words in Thai, as we feel it goes a long way with the local people. Number 14, Thai people are unbelievably nice. And I can honestly say this, we have never had a bad interaction with a local Thai person. These people are so patient for tourists. I can't even imagine what it's like to see millions and millions of tourists every single year and still have the patience for us. Don't be afraid to ask locals questions. They are super willing and happy to help. Even so much so, you might get people asking you where you're going when you're walking down the street. Whereas being here from the United States, that would be like a little bit of a weird request and like a little bit of a violation of personal privacy. But if they ask you where you're going while you're in Thailand, they are genuinely just curious where you're going and they can see if they can try to help. Honestly, they are the nicest people ever. Don't hold back from asking questions and just interacting with the local people. They're amazing. Number 15, dress appropriate for the temples. I can probably bet that at some point in your Thailand trip, you're gonna end up at a temple. And it's really, really important that you respect local customs. As a tourist, we want to treat their home with respect, and dressing appropriately is a small way we can do that. So dress moderately. Men and women cover shoulders and knees. I actually have on right now my elephant pants. If you go to Thailand, you'll see these elephant pants every single place you go. It's probably the most tourist thing that you can buy, but honestly, I love them, and who cares if I'm a tourist? But again, dress appropriate for the temples, cover the knees, cover the shoulders, dress moderate, and respect their local culture. Number 16, be very selective with your elephant excursion. It's very popular in Thailand to do some sort of elephant experience, and speaking from firsthand, not all of these experiences are created equal. There are some really good ones, and there are some really bad ones. So you want to make sure that you do a ton of research and homework to make sure that you're supporting a good company. Meg and I did our elephant experience up in the northern part of Thailand near Chiang Mai with a company called Chai Lai Orchid. And I would highly recommend their company. They run an awesome elephant sanctuary and take super good care of the elephants. And it's just overall an awesome experience. I'll make sure to link their stuff below so you can check them out. But please do your homework if you plan to do an elephant experience. Number 17, a meal at 7-Eleven. Now, this one sounds kind of funny, but 7-Elevens are super popular in Thailand. And especially if you're in Bangkok, it feels like they're on every city block. And for some reason, it's super popular to eat at these, and it feels kind of like a rite of passage if you're a tourist in Thailand. It's a great way to get a snack or even a meal for a very cheap price while you're on the move. So I'd recommend while you're in Thailand to try a meal at 7-Eleven. Number 18, Thailand malls. Let me tell you, these malls in Thailand, they got their malls figured out in Thailand. They must just be pumping all of their money into the malls. They are unbelievably big, super clean, super nice. They have like every store that you would ever need. And I know it seems kind of ridiculous to go to a mall while you're traveling, but to be honest, it's a great place to just walk around as well as get out of the heat. All the malls have AC in them, so it's a great place to relax and rejuvenate some of that energy from walking around in the humidity of Thailand. The malls, seriously, are unreal. I've been to a couple in Bangkok. I've been to a really nice one in Chiang Mai, even one in Phuket. So it might be worth it to check out the malls if you have some time. Number 19, watch out for the monkeys. These monkeys are menaces, and most of them do not have your best interests in mind, even if they look really cute. Anytime you're around monkeys at most tourist attractions that are outside, there's going to be monkeys, being that they're oftentimes getting fed from tourists. Please refrain from doing that, as well as keep all of your belongings super close to you. Monkeys will come right up and take your sunglasses or your camera or even your backpack. So make sure you don't set things down. Just be very aware of the monkeys in Thailand, as they can be quite aggressive and possibly steal some things from you. Number 20, and I saved the best for last, and this is Meg and I's personal favorite part of Thailand, and we feel like it's kind of like the best kept secret of Thailand, being that it seems very underpopulated. Not a ton of tourists make their way here, and I feel like everybody should. And it is called Khao Sok National Park. The scenery at Khao Sok National Park is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And let me just explain it a bit for you. It is a absurdly large national park with a rainforest and a huge freshwater lake. The rainforest in this region is known to some as being the oldest rainforest on the planet, which first of all is mind-blowing. Second of all, the lake is a man-made freshwater lake, which is super unique. You have this super old rainforest and you have this man-made freshwater lake, and it creates for this unique experience unlike anything we have ever done before. The most popular thing to do in Khao Sok National Park is to do a 1 or 2 night tour where you go and stay on these floating bungalows, and you can swim, kayak, you can cave hike, you can jungle hike, you can go on safaris looking for animals, and most of all, the best part for us was just the unbelievable scenery. The sunrises, the sunsets, everything about our experience in Khao Sok National Park was one of a kind, and it should be the top place on your list for your Thailand trip. I promise you, it will not disappoint. Let me know down in the comments if you have any other questions regarding Thailand. I will do my best to answer all the questions you have about Thailand, especially if you're somebody that has a trip coming up. So leave your questions down below. I also made a detailed 2-week Thailand itinerary that if you are looking to plan a trip to Thailand, it might be super helpful. It is super detailed, including specific restaurants, specific night markets, specific excursions that you're gonna wanna make sure to have on your list before traveling to Thailand. I will say though, it does cost $30 US, being that I put a good amount of time into it, and I definitely wouldn't recommend purchasing it if you have no plans of going to Thailand, but if you do, it might be really, really helpful for you and a great starting point for planning your trip. If you are looking for other Thailand content, I would highly recommend going and watching some of our other videos we made from Thailand. We have like 15 or 16 videos on our channel that we made from Thailand. Everything from scuba diving, to hiking, to time in the big city of Bangkok. We have it all, so make sure to check out some of those other videos. If you enjoyed this video though, please, please, please give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We will see you in the next video. Whew.